Today's episode is brought to you by Audible. For you, the listeners of Awesome Sunday Show, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. And all you have to do is go to audibletrial.com/awesomesundayshow. It's audibletrial.com/awesomesundayshow. Sign up for your free 30-day trial. Check out over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or any of the other 500 devices that they support. Might I recommend The Hobbit, unabridged version by J.R.R. Tolkien. Forget the movies. Listen to the audiobook. They have 180,000 to choose from. Promise you won't be disappointed. All you have to do is go to audibletrial.com/awesomesundayshow for a free audiobook download with a 30-day free trial. Thank you, Audible, for sponsoring this episode.
And today's show is also brought to you by BarkBox.com. You can get one free extra month of BarkBox at www.getbarkbox.com/awesome. What is BarkBox? Well, I'm glad you asked. Every month, BarkBox paws pick the best all-natural treats and innovative toys to match a dog's unique needs, including allergies and heavy chewer preferences. All edibles are made in the USA and Canada, and 100% of the products are tested on animals. BarkBox is a great way to try different treats from local businesses, and each monthly box is also themed: New York City, Country Fair, etc., etc. And if the dog doesn't like something in the box, they'll actually send you something that the dog will love for free, because they're all about the dog's happiness, and there's free shipping on any BarkBox within the continental U.S. And if the dog falls in love with something from the box, you can easily find it again on barkshop.com or just by texting them or go on the app. So remember, if you want to nab that free extra month of BarkBox, go over to www.getbarkbox.com/awesome.
You're listening to the Electronic Media Collective Podcast Network. Yeah, it's a mouthful. For more great shows like the one you're about to enjoy, visit electronicmediacollective.com. And now, our feature presentation.
Oh my god, you guys.
Hey everybody, it's time for the Awesome Sunday Show!
Hey everybody, welcome back to Awesome Sunday Show. Connor here.
And Pat as well.
Pat, how you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Beer's
how are
coming
you?
in.
I know. I'm entering a beer competition at AC Beer Fest.
Oh, really?
No, probably not. But there is one.
I will do, honestly, at AC Beer Fest, that's something I would...
There is a beard contest.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not going to enter, though, because I'm sure that the rest will actually be like crazy like that UFC referee, the one who has just that massive one that's down to his knees.
Yeah, that's a little insane, but that's cool, though. And we have two very special guests here for our movie review, which we will be reviewing. And very special guests, why don't you introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Becca. I'm Pat's fiance.
I'm Amanda. I'm just Pat's friend.
I guess
We're not Connor's friend.
I'm just a piece of shit over here. So anyway, it's been a while since you guys came back. So thank you for coming back. And I think we kind of have all varying opinions, whether we liked them or ever liked the movie or not about us. But
I think it's 3-1.
3-1. But I mean, I may have liked it more than you guys or less. I kind of want to know.
Oh, excuse me.
Well, you can have different opinions. Whether you like.
I'm in the middle right now. I need more information, and I'm thinking other perspectives might make me like it better.
There we go. Okay. So in typical Awesome Sunday Show fashion, since now we kind of are getting our footing with the start of this episode, so thanks for bearing with us, everybody. Very special guests always go first. So whether Amanda or Becca, who wants to go first, and just initial thoughts of the movie.
I'll go first. I did like it. I thought it was very creepy and thrilling, but I didn't necessarily understand all the underlying allegories at all. I had to read about them to...
We got to your teachers.
Yeah.
Allegory.
Yeah. Pinky up.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's my opinion. I did like it for the thrill factor, but...
Yeah.
I don't know. What about you?
I think that I had too high of expectations because I really liked Get Out a lot. So I really thought it was going to be like the best movie. I went into it like, this is about to be my favorite movie ever. And I think kind of same as you, like a lot of the like metaphors went over my head and I had to read about it after. That's when I was like, okay, maybe this was a better movie than I initially thought it was. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I feel like you have to read between the lines a lot with it. So wasn't the best. I didn't like it as much as Get Out.
Okay. Pat, did you want to go or do you want me to shoot?
No, go for it.
I fucking loved it. So I didn't. Oh, here's the thing. I don't like it as much as Get Out. I think Get Out is better, but I love this particularly for the fact because I thought it was so weird. It's a weird fucking movie. It's out there, and like there are some ideas and scenes that like really do come out of left field, and sometimes like subtly too. And I will admit that some of my enjoyment came from me being able to predict kind of what happened throughout halfway through the movie. So it wasn't really the best reveal, in my opinion. It was. I didn't know, but I will say this: I could never figure it out how it went down. So that was very creative. But if you're gonna do a twist, like it's got to be a twist.
Yeah. I thought it was an obvious.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. But I think if they didn't,
Really?
Yeah.
What twist are you talking about? Just so I'm sure.
It like at the very end.
The twist.
The
main.
Yeah,
character
like the
twist.
main character twist. Like
You guys thought that was obvious?
I thought it was obvious. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I thought it. I knew that there was definitely. I don't know. Like when they were in the mirror house, I knew that they probably switched places just because of how
Yeah.
drastic she changed after.
That was
I
exactly.
didn't catch on to that at all.
Yeah, and that's exactly.
The setup
where
is
I
more
thought it
noticeable
too.
in hindsight
Well, yeah.
than it is
yeah,
when you first see it.
obviously.
But the twist, especially right up until it happens, it's like completely in your face obvious. I don't think it was earned though. The setup was not strong enough to make it as impactful as it should have been.
And that's my main criticism of the movie because I really Get Out has the better story, but this movie has much better pacing and the acting is definitely better than Get Out.
Well, it was a faster paced movie.
Yeah, but that sometimes think of it as like a really fast paced song. Sometimes it's just like it doesn't work for it, especially like in like music that we listen to. It's like, dude, slow down. Like you don't have to beat the drum that fast. Like you can easily go into that territory for movies. And I thought like for the constant like let's go pacing, that's hard to get someone elevated and like deflated at the same time. But they do that through the humor, and I think that's where it really benefits the pacing. But again, if the twist was stronger, I probably would have liked the movie more than Get Out. And that's like, but that's if you're gonna do a twist, it's got to be good.
Well, it's not that it was bad. It's just the setup was not good enough to make the twist feel earned.
Right? Yeah, it
took away from it. You're
it's
just like,
not bad.
oh, okay, clearly.
Yeah, and it kind of that does. You have to admit though, like getting the twist throughout half the movie is like kind of.
Well, yeah, it's only better in hindsight. So when
Yeah.
you first get it, it's not the way like an actual twist will hit you as hard.
Right. But I will say this, there was other things in the movie that weren't twists that surprised me more than the twist actually. Like I thought like as far as like the tethered and what their goal was so cool. I like it cuz it doesn't really make any sense, which is why I like it. It's a little more ambiguous, and I thought that was cool. Like the lack of explanation towards something was better because it leaves more to the imagination. I think that's where the movie's strongest. So yeah.
I just had a lot of questions
Go ahead.
left over from the twist. Like, for example, that was okay. So she swapped herself with the other girl.
Yeah.
Right. So
That's
the,
why she
Am I
can
allowed to
talk.
talk about that?
the mom we see the entire movie
Yeah.
was the original tethered.
Okay. So, how come she couldn't just get out after? Like after the other one swapped her and then left. How come she couldn't just find her way out?
Go up the escalator
Because she was
again.
trapped. First of all, for a while she was handcuffed to the bed. You don't know when or how she got unhandcuffed, and then she was trapped. She didn't know where she was. It's not explained, but something was clearly there. Just
So was she
preventing
like
it.
the leader of
Yeah.
She was
the
the leader.
movement of
Yeah.
what was happening?
Because she was.
Because she was
Because she knew.
She was
Yeah.
aware of the upstairs world, and she was able to talk. And the reason she talked in that voice, which seemed very dumb at first, was because she
That
like
was the scariest thing for me. the voice.
seriously injured her throat, and the only reason
Right.
she was able to talk is because up until that point she was able to talk, and her speech was broken not just because of whatever windpipe injury she had, but it's because she only developed up to a certain point, and then since she lost the ability to talk to anybody else because none of the tethered knew how to talk, her speech skills are lacking.
Yeah, it's like that. They're like her. Like whenever I see online people bitching about like her voice and how it doesn't make sense and like why it can like there's a clear explanation for it. Like, and
as soon as they show what actually happened to her,
Right.
you're like, oh, okay, that explains.
well, and also and that's another thing is like I think people did not expect how we like. I'm sorry, I know I keep saying it, but this movie's fucking weird, and like that's like why I like it. So so people weren't expecting that, and also it tells a story visually just as much as it does through dialogue, and like. I'm sorry, like especially during horror movies, the amount of people I catch looking at their phones during the movie, you know, it's like you have to pay attention to see it. It's or else you're gonna miss it. And like, sorry, I wasn't like spoon fed to you, you know?
Yeah. You have to interpret more.
Right.
Yeah, because there was a lot of symbolism in this. For instance, like when the reason that they're holding hands like that is because she was watching the commercial of Hands Across America.
Yes.
So it was another demonstration that she heard about. The one glove is because of the Thriller shirt. Michael Jackson was wearing one glove on it. The scissors.
I didn't
Talk
even
to me
notice
about
that.
the one glove.
The one glove is because
They have the-
remember
they
her
all
dad
have the
won
leather
her
one glove on.
won her the Michael Jackson shirt in the
I
beginning.
didn't even see that.
That's the shirt that he won her. Yeah.
But I didn't even see that they had gloves. I gotta pay.
Yeah, they all had one leather glove on. And the
What was
reason-
the scissors?
Scissors just because together they're complete, they're equal in size, and then when you pull them apart, they're
They
divided.
don't work any. Oh,
Well, when they're divided, like when you open the scissors, they're divided.
gotcha.
Yeah, but that's not.
And then also to cut the tethered loose.
Yeah, it's that like most people did not pick up on that, like audience wise.
I didn't.
Yeah, and which is like fine. Like the movie does so much. It does so much right in a sense that people don't really notice because, dude, think about all the mainstream horror. Think of all the mainstream horror movies we've seen, like that we've like whether it's together, separate, or just in general. Like they're good at face value, but like they're kind of just like it's almost like a roller coaster. There's some sometimes like you get like something that's standard like The Conjuring, but the characters kind of give it a deeper meaning and level because they're so well written. But then like you have this movie which it's like you kind of like you can't blink almost, and it's not like you can't blink like Ready Player One, like oh my god, like it's that thing like Marvin and Martian and the War of the World's Martians are in the same shot, like no, it's like it actually progresses the story, and I like this. I think this is a movie where people like probably in going back to the hindsight 2020, like probably years from now look back and be like, oh shit, like this is probably way better.
Yeah, like how she was wearing white, and then the more of the untethered that she killed, her shirt was becoming soaked in blood to show that she's really red. When the red frisbee landed on top of the blue dot on their beach towel, showed the red hiding amongst the blue, so the red was the actual tethered. So Adelaide was hiding amongst it.
The Jeremiah 11:11 Pat, like there's
I will read it.
Yeah,
Actually, I looked
bring
it
it
up.
up.
Yeah, I looked it up also.
So Jeremiah 11:11 reads, "Therefore this is what the Lord says: I will bring on them a disaster they cannot escape. Although they cry out to me, I will not listen to them." So in the context, Jeremiah was warning Jerusalem. They were facing destruction due to false idols. And it kind of fits with like the characters were worshiping the wrong thing, such as Tim Heidecker's character, how Ophelia, which is basically Alexa, clearly, and material things like their house is like that. And then when the husband Gabe talks about how he felt that Tim Heidecker's character getting that car was to one up him in terms of the niceness of the cars.
Yeah, it's then like those are the themes that like you pick up on through the movie that like to me were much more surprising and that I enjoyed because you kind of almost have to play like Tetris while you're watching the movie with like with what's the real story being told. And also it's kind of like but that almost works against the movie because I was doing that during the movie and like that's how I was kind of able to like figure it out, But I mean,
when a lot of people don't do that.
yeah, like there's a lot of mouth breathers out there, and it's and not that you can hate this movie and not be stupid. It's like I shouldn't say it like that. That's not fair. But it's Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm more or less basing on the experience I had during the movie too. So like it's like, dude, people will not shut the fuck up. And so like that's like so like when I go online and I see people like bitching about it, I'm like, were you even actually paying attention? Like is that or were you just kind of with your friends like
Yeah.
There to hang out.
Yeah, like because like it's so whatever, which is fine. It's a horror movie. I don't that doesn't bother me during the movie. I kind of expect it, but that just kind of leaves me to question now, like, what was your experience at that point? Like, and how did you enjoy the movie? Because that there's more to it than just looking at your phone half the time.
Yeah. Another couple things with Thriller. The music video is about Michael Jackson being part of a zombie all along and going to take over. Adelaide was really one of the untethered all along. And then in the opening scene,
dude, I love the Michael Jackson reference.
There's
Let's leave
there's
Michael Jackson out of this.
There's
That's another podcast.
There's a Chud VHS.
Great movie.
Like it's about people, humanoid monsters coming up from under. So like there's a lot of like intentional things like whack-a-mole. Creatures coming up from underground.
Yeah, there's
and your fight to put them down. So there's like so many small things in it that just kind
Which
of
is genius, but a lot of people wouldn't.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's
realize
not
that.
all stuff you'll think about as you're watching it for the most part.
And that's the thing. This movie has much more Easter eggs than Get Out. Like Get Out has like some things in there, like, but it's not nearly as much as this movie. Like it's got like I wouldn't even say it's half. Because like Get Out, like it's kind of obvious too. Some of the symbolism and what they do, and like obviously there's more subtle things as well. But this movie has like subtlety down to the to its very fabric, which again is cool because there's probably still stuff that we haven't picked, like any of us haven't even picked up on. Like I'm sure that you'd see on a repeat viewing.
Another question. The tethered, okay. So this was like an experiment gone wrong, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Are they trying to? Is it supposed to be like everyone in the world has a tethered?
No, I think it's
Or
they don't specify, but I think it's either just located to California or confined to America because it was the U.S. government, so it could have been attempted all over the country, but I don't think it went outside of that. They don't really explain it, but I'm pretty sure that's in context. I mean, we only see California happen because that's where the movie's based.
Well, based on the end when they zoomed out with the mountains and everything.
Yeah.
That was still California, though.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then I almost said, how did they have that much space? But then I remembered that whole thing in the beginning with the tunnel, the underground.
Yeah, talking about the
That was
tunnels,
the only thing they
which
mentioned about
going
it.
back in hindsight again, you're like, oh, okay, I get why that's there.
Yeah.
But when you first see, you're like, all right, whatever.
Yeah,
And then once you see what's happening, but it doesn't explain how any employee that worked in that funhouse couldn't just go find that door that was right in like the employee locker room.
Right.
So there's a lot of things working against it, like
how did nobody else ever
or
walk in?
anybody just walk
and
in
find
down there?
it
How
and
did
find
she
their other half?
really find out about the upstairs?
Right.
Yeah.
In
And
the
I mean,
first
like,
place.
also when you get down to it, like, yeah, they were eating the rabbits, but what were the rabbits eating?
True.
Yeah.
There's that, and the reason for the rabbits is because they reproduce in such large litters that they constantly had a food source.
Right,
but it
but-
doesn't explain how the rabbits ate. That's correct.
And it seemed like she was the only one that had more of a personality than all the others. Like when they were showing like the underground versus the top, like everybody on the boardwalk, it seemed like they weren't exactly the same as their other half, but it seemed like she was
They
more
were like drunk
developed.
versions.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
weren't like
Well, as she says, she was the chosen one, quote unquote. But it, it doesn't also explain like how when they showed the actions that were going up on the boardwalk to the underground there, how they all were copying their above ground
Movements.
counterparts and movements like to a T.
Right.
They never really explained it. They mentioned something about two bodies, one soul, or not being able to separate the soul or whatever, but it doesn't explain that.
and the whole
which-
dance scene
Yeah.
of her dancing almost the same.
and where they're getting all the clothing.
Honestly,
it's
like-
the same, but I think that the clothing is just supposed to be visual representation, but the dance thing, it also somehow relates to how they're connected, but it doesn't explain
yeah.
how. So it's a
Because then it's
question
like
that's
all the
never
people
mentioned.
watching downstairs are all of those people
Yeah.
at the
it
recital
would have
watching.
made more sense instead of it
I need more
being
answers.
They could have
instead of it being
explained
a
less.
government experiment what would have made more sense, and credit to Anthony DeLee for first saying this, is if it was just like a parallel society downstairs instead of a U.S. government. Because
That would make more sense.
it would make more sense of how they connect physically and copy them in ways like that. But it never,
Zelda did it first, but
yeah. Well, like, so you can see how it works, but they don't really explain that, and I think that kind of was something that raised more questions that weren't answered.
yeah,
in a
and
way.
I think that's another criticism I had of the movie too. Again, I don't want to bring up criticism the whole time because I do really like this movie. And I think it's a great movie, but there's too much explanation for a lot of things,
And then not enough for the major things.
right. Whereas if I would have just rather had. You don't have to explain everything, and then leave the stuff like the whack-a-mole and all the symbolism there, and not
Yeah,
any,
to interpretation instead of providing non-necessary.
like
answers,
you could
but leaving out.
have you could have Coopered it and been fine. In fact, it probably would have made the movie better at that point. So yeah, but great thing that I want to bring up that I loved. It was such in the vein of Tim and Eric Awesome Show was the tethered version of Tim Heidecker.
Yes.
Holy fuck, that guy! I was dying. Like
That's exactly what you would expect.
I was the only one in the theater like laughing. Like,
He was the white guy,
Oh, the white guy.
and with Elizabeth Moss.
that white devil.
That's Tim Heidecker from Tim and Eric. Awesome.
Okay.
He had the
Most-
tattoos,
mostly
and sunglasses.
Yeah. I liked the like comedic relief of the characters.
Yes, they were good. Whatchamacallit? Winston. I thought Winston Duke was so funny.
Well, he was Jordan Peele.
Yeah.
His character was Jordan Peele in the movie. If you think about it,
Yeah.
Jordan Peele wrote him as him.
He even kind of talks like him.
Yeah, I think he just like Jordan Peele was probably like, just do me in this.
Yeah, just watch my introductions for Key and Peele for like the 5 seasons and just see how I talk because he talks and moves just like Jordan Peele in a way.
But it was funny when he's just clearly this just like dorky dude, but then once he brings the bat out to confront the family in the driveway, he puts like a little tries to be a little threatening about it and tries to put like a little ghetto on it, but it's just doesn't work because it's the complete opposite of how he is. So it just comes off a little funny and like less threatening.
Yeah.
His voice cracks. He's like, that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
He's like, call the
That's
cops.
funny. Yeah, I think that was one of my favorite parts was how unnerving it was, like them standing out in the driveway. It kind of reminded me of like It Follows. You were like nervous the whole time of when they were going to come back and how they were going to show back up.
Did anybody else think it was like creepily cute? The tethered kid with the burnt face. Like
how Jason and Pluto were relating.
yeah, and it's that like it was sad, but like it was cute that he was acting like a dog.
Yeah.
They're so cute.
Yeah,
And like even in there, the connections with them is burn faces from how Jason was trying to do the magic trick that had the spark.
yeah.
Pluto could have done that with the matches in there. They were both wearing masks. Pluto was to hide his disfigurement. Jason was like as a safety blanket almost. And like how neither of them really talk, like Winston Duke says, and it's like, you don't really talk much, but then he uses words that like we wouldn't expect a kid his age.
Also, too, like it's also a horror movie trope for like kids to have masks. Like there are so many fucking horror movies. Corey Feldman does it in Friday the 13th Part 4. There's also Ghoulies. There's a bunch of movies where
also in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which you love, the kid at the end when he goes to confront the Rhino, he puts on a Spider-Man
that's
mask.
more
So
symbolism than it is like a
so
horror movie trope.
It's like it's a safety blanket.
Right, but
Almost.
like there's a lot of horror movies where kids wear masks. It's just it happens all.
Yeah.
Pet Cemetery, Jesus Christ, there's the whole fucking neighborhood wears masks in that goddamn movie.
Yeah, well, and then at the end when he realizes like he knows for sure that his mom is the untethered, he puts his mask down to get ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Oh, when they're in the car
To the ambulance
alone together.
Yeah, but yeah, he's up front, and he finally realizes. Speaking of which, Lupita Nyong'o,
Love her.
star, absolute star in here.
Needs a nomination.
Yeah, and if Get Out can get a nomination, I think Us can qualify, but she should because, the other characters, they didn't talk in there. They did physical acting, but she portray two characters, well, the same character, just a parallel action of them, but did it so well and with such conviction that it's like you understand why she's an Oscar winner previously. Yeah, and she was so good in this. I think that she deserves a nomination. She played both sides so well, and then acting against herself, which, you know, they use stand-ins and body doubles while you're filming one versus the other, but so, and then when she was monologuing,
Yeah.
I think was when she like stood out, and that the way her monologues were shot, especially when they're in the underground bunker and the camera is like half on the original version of her and then on the untethered one, but it's like the way it's shot, which is like I would
like
say
half
almost
her face.
It's like half her face. I would say it's like almost Hitchcockian. I think in a way, really highlighted the intensity, which this movie had a lot to do.
Yeah, no, I don't have a rebuttal for it. That's I agree. Yeah, don't give me that look. So, what were your guys' thoughts on not because Lupita Nyong'o steals the show, but as far as like not Lupita Nyong'o, who do you think stood out as far as like the probably one of the best actors in there, like as far like not. That doesn't have as much screen time as her. Like me personally, I thought it was Tim Heidecker. I thought he was great.
I don't think it was impressive though. I just think it was great.
I-
Like his body language as his untethered version.
That was the
was
best.
great.
That
But-
was my favorite.
yeah, and it was great comic relief and just showed like was just a highlight of how mindless they are. But while trying to mimic what he learned about.
Yeah, just the way he's acting, he's like throwing his his jacket. He's like,
But I think that
like that, I was dying the whole time.
the kid who played Jason, Evan Alex,
He was great.
was the strongest because I don't think the other characters, like Winston Duke, wasn't really given a lot to act against. He kind of just was in the same spot the whole time. But the way that Jason played himself and Pluto, I think, and their connection, especially at the end when Pluto follows him into the flames without realizing it, the connection that he portrayed between the two characters was really well done.
Yeah, that scene too, where there's the trail of gasoline under the SUV. I was like, whoa, that's
Yeah, that was sick. And then the score, whenever anything super tense happened, like in that, or when they're being chased, or in the final confrontation, was really fucking good.
Yeah, that was very good. Yeah, do you know who did the score? You got a computer? Come on.
I'm looking.
What about you guys? Who do you think?
I don't know about
Michael Abels.
stars of the movie, but two of my favorite characters were the sisters.
The twins.
Yeah,
the
they were
twin
so
girls.
scary. They were like the scariest part for me.
They were really creepy. They were like the twins in The Shining.
Yeah.
And I loved when I wish I knew the names of these characters.
I forget.
But the other family, brother and sister, when they came and like fucked shit up.
Oh yeah.
And the little girl just like single-handedly killed those two creepy twins.
Oh yeah,
That
yeah.
was a great
Yeah,
part.
Jason and
I
Zora.
thought the tethered version of the daughter,
She was scary.
yeah, she was very creepy.
She was creepy.
She's the kid
With
that
her
belongs in
smile.
Pet Cemetery or
Yeah.
some shit, or Children of the Corn.
And I thought one of
Yeah.
the great lines delivered about it was like, you gave birth to she's like, when you gave birth to like a lovely happy daughter, I gave birth to a monster.
Yeah.
And like you just see her and you're like, what the fuck?
That whole scene when she's explaining everything, I was like, yes, give us more information. I love this. But I also thought it was going to be more like equal but opposite kind of a thing.
Yeah. There's like
Like I didn't understand how like the feral like little brother was the opposite of the other, the upstairs version.
well, like he was wild and untamed, and like, but whereas he was like the what's the character's name? The little boy, Jason. Whereas Jason was like kind like calm, cool, and collective. Like he listened to his mother.
Yeah.
Well, no, Pluto was
So-
well trained.
He was well trained.
He was just like he was just animalistic.
right.
And was Jason like cautious? I don't know.
Jason was cautious, but you can tell that he was Adelaide or Red, like the actual untethered, was very, very protective of him, like almost overprotective to the point where like he was like a little baby.
So if she, so if the untethered version was really her real self, why would she like unleash the rest of the family on the actual upstairs versions of them?
Because she wanted revenge for
Yeah.
her being. At first she had a normal life, and then it was taken away from her, and so she wanted to take everything back and take it away from her. And
So
make
she
her
wouldn't
suffer
want her
about it.
normal
That's why she
versions?
didn't kill her right away, is because she wanted her to suffer the way that she made her suffer.
That makes
And
sense.
they were supposed to, everyone that was underground was supposed to originally replace everybody else above ground to work in the government's favor before they were abandoned. So she kind of carried it out just in a murderous way.
Gotcha.
Something else I wanted to say. And like how Get Out was about racism, and like this was about class systems fighting against each other.
Yeah, and that was another thing too. Was when people were saying they were surprised how much less social commentary there wasn't than Get Out, which there definitely is less social commentary, but there definitely also was social commentary.
Well, it was also like Get Out was more upfront about it.
yeah,
a
but
way,
people were saying how this is nothing to do with social commentary. It's a pure horror
They're
movie.
completely wrong.
They're totally wrong
because it is about class warfare, really.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that they're acting like each other in the bunker is because it's like how poor people want to get the lives of the upper class.
Yeah.
It's to show that like how they're being held down and they're being kept.
Yeah, and like another thing I appreciate about this movie too is like it's an amalgamation of ideas from different horror movies. Like the idea of the class system that's been in a bunch of horror movies in the past. And the one that stands out is Land of the Dead. That one, that one's a lot less subtle about it though. Like this movie does it better, and that's not a bad thing. Like, listen, like there's almost no such thing as an original idea at that point. Like if you're if you're gonna do a theme, if you're gonna stick to a theme with a movie, stick to it. And this movie does it very well. And even though it's not the original to do something, that doesn't make it not the best at it as in that sense.
Yeah, I mean that's what Get Out was, and like Jordan Peele clearly is a cinephile and is applying that and its inspirations into his works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just funny still that he does horror.
Well, yeah, because it's not something you would expect. Comedy does come from a dark place.
Yeah.
But this is completely different. And it's like he went from one of the best sketch shows ever and just jumped into, like, the first one was a thriller, but this is a dark.
And it's not like a horror comedy like what we do in the Shadows or like Return of the Living
Right.
Dead. Like it's a horror movie, but that happens to be kind of funny.
Yeah, this just has humor throughout, which most horror movies do. There's parts that are humorous, but the overall feel and genre of the movie is horror.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Although it really wasn't so much of a horror. There wasn't a lot of like typical horror elements. It was, again, like a thriller with just a lot more gore. But I think it's like borderline on that. It's done in the vein of a horror movie, and that score was definitely a horror movie score.
100%. It's, I don't know, like if you were to ask me, like, all right, you have to pick one genre for us, I would say it's horror.
Yeah. Overall, it's horror for sure.
Why do you think she waited until that time to unleash all the untethered?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's because it took that long to plan and just get it right and like train the
Or
rest.
did it have
that-
to do with the fact that they went back to
that area?
Well, I think that it would have happened either way
well,
because it was already happening once they got there. Because you see
Yeah,
that
'cause
that
the guy on
the
the
Jeremiah 1111 guy was killed already. When he went there, and then the first untethered you see is his, or tethered. The first one you see is him on the beach. That was him with his
Holding his arms out, bleeding.
bleeding.
and
So it was going to happen regardless.
It was gonna
I don't
happen.
think it has anything to do with going back there, but it's her going back there is when she finally came to a head with it.
Also, she does mention in the speech when she's sitting on the chair that like she's like, we've been waiting for you, like we've been waiting for you to come back. So like clearly like there was like an indication of like their arrival. I mean, it's not 100% explained, I think, on either way, but I think at that point it's just kind of like, well, you have to explain everything. Does it does like whether like that?
I was just curious
Yeah.
why she waited so long. I
Yeah,
didn't
no,
know if I
'cause
missed
it's-
something.
It's
Yeah.
supposed to be in present day, so it was like 33 years, but I don't think there's any significance
Mm-hmm.
to that.
Yeah.
But again, that's just something that they don't really mention. Anything?
I don't know.
Okay.
Let's let the dead air talk and see its opinion. What you call it? How did you guys feel as far when it came to something like the cinematography? Because I thought the cinematography was great. I liked the different colors that they would use in different shots and different scenes, especially like when it comes to like when they're in the fun house. How it kind of reminded me of Moonlight, like when they had the speech, like black boys like bright blue, burn blue, or they shine blue in the moonlight. So like you see like all like blue, and like it kind of reminds you of Moonlight, and like and like it's like ominous in a way, but again, I still think Get Out actually was probably better shot, because there's certain scenes in Get Out that tell the story. Like when you see the deer head on top of the TV, like that's a great shot right there. I don't know, but I mean, I don't want to just not glance over the cinematography and not talk about it, because I think it is very good.
I agree. I don't really have anything else to add to that.
I thought so as well.
For the person who was in the middle towards dislike, anything else?
I think now that I have more information, I want to see it again, and I think I'll like it more now.
Yeah, I think it would, once you get the twist and then like it's realize or see or told some of the symbolism, it will probably enhance it on a second viewing.
And you know what? The twist happened, and I was like, wow, that's crazy. But I didn't think hard about it, and it kind of didn't occur to me that... Okay, wait, here's a question. So the whole time, what's Lupita's upstairs name?
Adelaide.
Adelaide. She knew that she was the bad one all along? Like, she knew that she was the tethered
Yeah.
all along?
Yeah, she took her place. She planned to take her place when she first
So why
encountered
wasn't she, like... Why didn't she seem more prepared for this?
her. I don't know.
That is a good question.
That is a good question. I mean, you can tell at one point that she felt
And even in the... Yeah, in
that
the beginning,
she was coming for when
In the
she's
car.
standing in the car. She didn't want to go back there.
Yeah.
She felt uncomfortable,
She
clearly.
felt uncomfortable. So maybe she had a feeling as soon as she would go back there that something would happen. And then
why
when
didn't she, like, immediately, guys, this is what's going on. I know what's going on because I was
because it
there.
would be
Yeah.
suspicious.
And then when she tried
And also, it's an
to
unbelievable
tell him,
story.
yeah, when she tried to tell him in the bedroom, he kind of like laughed it off, and she's like, "You don't believe me."
Yeah, see, things like that. It will make more sense if I watch it a second time, having all of this information.
That part was hilarious. How he laid on the bed and he just like starts spreading his
Yeah,
legs.
he's like hoping to get some.
Yeah.
That was funny. Meanwhile, she's having like a nervous breakdown.
Yeah, so maybe she just had a feeling that one day the one that she trapped down there would eventually come and get her, and so she wanted to avoid it. But just realized that in the end she couldn't. Yeah. I don't know, it's something that's just not mentioned, but I think that's just what it was.
Yeah, I like it more now that we've talked about it. It was.
Well, that's good.
It's much
Yeah.
more thoughtful than.
Who'd
I
you see it
realized.
with?
Casey.
How did she feel?
Same as I did. I think none of us really
Looked into it that
paid
hard.
enough attention.
Well, I wouldn't say you paid enough attention. It's just like a movie like this doesn't come around a lot. So like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of the last movie that like didn't take people the right way, that was actually good. Because people were like, oh yeah, like It Came at Night. Like people didn't get that movie. I'm like, no, that movie sucks. And I know that movie
There's
sucks.
nothing to get there.
Yeah.
In a bad way. I don't know. It's gonna be another cult movie.
Yeah, which is good. I'm all about cult movies. Yeah, but anyway, that's our thoughts. Amanda, Becca, thanks for coming on. I mean, Becca, you deserve to come on. This is your house. You know?
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Amanda, thanks
Even
for
though
coming
I
on.
host you.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Need final scores,
I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10.
Amanda?
Okay, if you'd asked me in the beginning, I would have said a 6.
Mhm.
But I'll say 7.5 until I see it again.
I was gonna say the same, 7.5 out of 10.
I'll give it an 8.
Yeah.
Maybe an 8.5. First impression, that was an 8.
I thought it was like
It's not as good as
movie.
Get Out, but it's a really, really, really good movie.
I just
Yeah.
loved Get Out. I had high expectations.
Well, yeah, Get Out was a 10. Like that's a 10 movie right there, and like that movie's lightning in a bottle. It's kind of like in the sense of like when you look at a movie like Ghostbusters, like all the aspects shouldn't work when it's all together, but it somehow does, and that's sort of like Get Out for me. Like a comedy writer directing and writing a horror movie, like actors who don't ever really go in horror movies. The villain from Billy Madison is the dad. Like it's, you know, I was like, this won't work,
It won't work,
and
yeah.
it works. It's great. So, yeah, that's. I'm excited to see the next Jordan Peele movie.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
going to be in the same vein, like another social commentary thing.
I hope so. I just hope he keeps making movies. I don't care
Yeah.
whether they're horror or not.
Well, I mean, at this point, I know he has a large, or like a multi-picture deal signed with Blumhouse and then Universal.
By the way, Blumhouse
Plus-
has been killing it lately.
Plus, he has The Twilight Zone coming out April 1st.
I might sign up for CBS All Access for that.
Just for that.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
Yeah, Blumhouse is very up and down, but
But even their
last
downs
couple-
are funny, like Truth or Dare.
yeah, but that's not. That shouldn't have been funny. Like that's the thing.
Why though? It's so entertaining.
Because it wasn't made to be funny. That's why.
that's perfect.
No, that's why we liked it.
Yeah.
But, you know, and it also lost a bunch of money.
True.
It's not like it made money. But, yeah, Jason Blum, I mean, just last year he produced Get Out and Black Klansman. Look how well that turned out the past couple years.
Yeah.
So Blumhouse does for sure have its hits. I mean, look at Halloween last year. Glass, which bombed. Happy Death Day to You, which was good. I don't know how well it did at the box office and stuff, but he also just has so much coming out that, you know, obviously some stuff's going to stick to the wall.
Right. But he also from what I understand, like he gives his like directors and writers like the total creative freedom, just not the total financial freedom.
Yeah. Well, that's how he makes his
Makes
money.
sense,
Yeah.
He uses small budgets, and but you know, then when you have like a budget like that, you're like, okay, I know exactly how I need to do this
You're right.
within that frame. Plus, he helped save the original ending, not the original ending, but the theatrical ending of Get Out was a suggestion by him,
Yeah,
which is better than the alternate ending.
Do you think so?
Yes.
I don't know. I love that alternate ending. I like the alternate ending just as much as the original ending. Do you guys know the alternate ending to Get Out?
No.
The alternate ending is instead of his friend from the TS motherfucking A that comes and save him, it's an actual cop.
It's the cop
It's
from
the-
when he
yeah.
pulls him over for hitting the deer.
And then yeah, exactly, and pins the murders on him, and then
Well, he sees a guy standing over a bunch of dead
Yeah.
bodies, so he gets pinned on him, so he ends up in prison.
like the
for
final
life.
shot is him going to jail.
Oh,
No,
wow.
they speak. It's in the visitation.
Is it?
Yeah, like he visits him, and he goes like, "How's it going?" Basically.
I have to rewatch it.
That's shitty.
Yeah, I think the original one is better for the story.
I kind of like how the alternate ending is a kick in the nuts, though.
Yeah, but that's why I don't think it's the better of the ending
Yeah.
for the movie.
Pick your poison.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, thanks for listening. Thanks to our guests, and of course for hosting or letting us record in your basement.
Anytime.
Love you.
No, literally, it is any time. Like Becca's never said no, so thank you. You know, anytime you want to come on,
I'm the best.
yeah, I'll let you on.
Well, she usually
Thanks.
just really doesn't want you over, but I'm like, come on. Like, he doesn't have friends. We got to give him something.
I pity.
I wait out by the door until they let me in.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. We have new merch. Check it out. Have more coming out. Peace.
Late.